Not many would suggest he'd be the one to watch this season. Susan Jane Smith was. But many suggest he's been the best player under Amorim so far. So how much does it surprise you that he wasn't involved more previously?
Well, I think you watched him and you've sort of seen glimpses of the qualities that he had, and you always thought with more game time and those sort of consistent performances would come with more game time, and we're just seeing that now. That, like Stephen mentioned there, like how brave he is. You look, his first touch, he wants to go forward, whether that's dribbling forward, whether that's passing forward. He's a player in confidence. His end product is excellent, and yesterday he was the match winner. And you know, in Amorim's sides, he wants his team to work hard off the ball. He wants his teams to constantly be, or his players to be constantly running, have that energy and that intensity. That's exactly what he's got. So I just think he fits what Amorim wants perfectly, and we're sort of seeing now the quality and performances because he's getting that game time.
But on such small moments do perhaps whole seasons turn, whole careers turn, because they were just a few minutes short of defeat, weren't they?
Yeah. Mm.
Suddenly the narrative this Monday morning is completely different to what it would have been if the game had finished, after a sort of 86 minutes or whatever it was. So are we actually seeing progress under Amorim, or is this a result that covers up other things?
I'd say ask the question again at the end of the season, because I think this is going to be a little bit of an up and down roller coaster for Manchester United from now until the end of the season. He doesn't quite know his best 11. He's had issues off the pitch, obviously, with Marcus Rashford and then Garnacho as well. So he's got issues there that he needs to sort out. So there's going to be ups and downs. I thought yesterday's game was lacking in quality, huge quality, and that's incredible to say when you think Manchester City are involved in it. But United they're a poor team. They're not a great team. Let's not take anything away from the result, but they beat a team that is in massively low in confidence, who's struggling to find a style at the moment to get anything out of a game. They look leggy, they look lethargic, and United only just beat them. So let's not get carried away and say United are back. They're far from back. They'll face bigger obstacles this season and tougher obstacles, because they've got Manchester City at the lowest point, the lowest of the low. So, we could be sat here next week saying United have just lost again. That's how it could happen, because the way that they've been playing so far.
Yeah, and you mentioned Rashford and Garnacho, not even included in the squad. Amorim said neither were left out injured. This was a hell of a gamble, wasn't it? Because now it looks great.
Yeah.
He's made a statement. He's gone, I'm not having people who don't tie their shoelaces properly or whatever it is in my squad. If they'd lost, then where would we be at?
Yeah, I suppose winning backs up his argument, and I quite like the way he sort of dealt with the situation, though, because he's made that choice. He's obviously come in and he's looking at different things, whether that's on the pitch, whether that's in training, whether that's the way that they handle themselves around, you know, the training ground, the stadium, whatever that is, however he's made his decision, he's decided that they don't deserve to be in the squad for that game. He explained it. He then explained it again after the game, but he didn't say, oh, look, that's it for them. It's a new start next week. If they do what obviously I've wanted them to do more, they'll be in the matchday squad the week after. So I feel like he dealt with it pretty well. I quite like that he's setting standards and he's saying, well, if you don't meet my standards, whatever they are, I'm sure he's set it out to the players, you won't be in my squad no matter who you are. And I actually quite like that. And I think as players, you sort of respect that.
There's a fine line though, isn't there? And this is the thing, is that we've seen it with Erik ten Hag, where he tried to be tough and he tried to set standards, and the players didn't adhere to them and didn't.
Well, Jadon Sancho, this situation is much different from when he came out, when Ten Hag came out and said those things about Jadon Sancho, and that really hung around his neck for a long time. There was the game at Wolves where Rashford was on the bench and came on and scored. Because he was late. And that was looked at as a good one. But the Jadon Sancho one, I think, was looked at as not good man management when it's Ten Hag. Suddenly, when it's Amorim, because he got the win, it's seen as great management.
Exactly. And this is the issue you get, is that if they hadn't won yesterday, the talk would have all been around this. And now we're trying to put a positive spin on it. But you've got to put yourself in the changing room. As a Man United player, I'd be thinking, I want them two on the bench. Now, I know they've done wrong, but you can discipline them in other ways. You can fine them, you can do whatever you want. But when you're hurting the matchday squad and you're affecting it, now we don't know to what level it was. He sort of came out, didn't he, and said, I watch what they eat, I watch how they dress and things like that. And you think, OK, but everyone's different in the way that they approach things. I remember reading an article that James Milner spoke about, and he spoke about Divock Origi, and he said he was the hardest player to manage, but at some point you've just got to go, he is who he is. Now, I'm not saying he's at the level of Marcus Rashford or whatever, but he was an important player for Liverpool. And he said he'd turn up late for meetings all the time. It was just his way. And sometimes you've got to accept a person for how they are. They might not change, but you've got to manage them in a different way. There's certain managers who look at certain players and go, he is different, he is a game winner, so maybe I've got to treat them a little bit different. His thing will just be, well, I don't treat anyone any different.
Yeah.
But when you're paying them 350 grand a week, 400 grand a week, however much they're on, you've got to find the best way of getting something out of them.
Yeah.
So there's a very fine balance of getting things right. And a lot of Man United fans are probably screaming at the telly now going, get him out the club. Like, we've had enough of him, about Rashford. But there's a player in there who's got exceptional talent as well. I'd rather him be in my team if I'm playing, thinking, try and get the best out of him. Find what makes him tick.
Yeah, I just don't think the performances have been good enough from them two either. So I think that's probably one of the reasons. Like, the performances on the pitch haven't been good. Yeah, but then he's probably looking at training, and have they actually shown him in training what he wants to see? So I think it's how you do, because I think as a player, if a manager comes to me and they say, you're not in the squad, and these are the reasons you're not in the squad, you go, OK, well, I'll make sure that I do that in training. I'll make sure that I do that on the pitch. So it's how they now respond to that, isn't it? That's the big thing.
Yeah, it's a bit like, you know, me and you are here at 5 a.m, aren't we? Yeah. And Stephen strolls in at 5:02.
Doesn't he? I know.
Sorry.
And it was hard, really, to toss up which was the major talking point. Was it Manchester United winning the Manchester derby, or what happened to Manchester City? And those quotes from Pep Guardiola, which is staggering. He says he's not good enough to do this. What is he doing? Trying to deflect away from the team? It's just one win in 11. So what is going wrong?
He's just trying to take the blame for everything, isn't he? And deflect everything away from them. It's the old Jose Mourinho trick, and that's what he used to do. He used to take everything on him, on his shoulders, and then deflect everything away from his team so his team could concentrate on themselves. He's not been in this situation before, so we're going to see different sides of Guardiola, whether it's how spiky he is in interviews, saying that he's spiky anyway, even when he wins. But we're going to see a different side to Pep at the moment, and so will his players as well, because he's not been in this situation. The players are just massively low on confidence. I mean, when you watch them, they're questioning their own decisions and what they're doing. De Bruyne, yesterday, I was watching him thinking, the simple 5-yard passes, and he's taken a touch where usually be playing them first time. Yeah. And the slower making decisions, and that is just a confidence issue. So these players are in a position now where they've probably been in the career, but maybe 10, 15 years ago, when you lose confidence as a youngster or as a player maturing. But once you get to a certain age, you very often, well, these guys don't lose often. Yeah. So they're not used to being in a position where confidence is low, and they don't know how to find that at the moment. They're struggling. But they don't have many leaders on the pitch to help them out.
Where do they go from here then?
I think they've just got to get back to what we know of Manchester City, and it's probably easier said than done at the moment. It's just so unusual seeing a Manchester City side like this. I think I listened to Phil Foden after the game, and he was saying about the confidence issue. He was saying that it's also a bit of a mentality thing where you concede one and then you concede another one straight away. And he just said that's on us to try and make that better. Obviously, Pep Guardiola's taking the blame and saying it's on me to find solutions. I think there's so many factors around the reason why Manchester City aren't where they are. But we all know the quality and the capabilities of this squad and of Pep, that they will come back. It's just when they've come back. It just seems to be that they've all hit a dip at the same time. You know, you just need one of them maybe to get that back or get them back on track maybe.
Right, here we go. 16 games played, 16th of December. This very moment, this season, a simple yes or no, can Manchester City still win the title?
No.
No.